Hi, I'm just wondering, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Sure.
Good morning. I'm going to go ahead and call our proceeding. Now calling proceeding number 23A-0589EG. It is May 19th, 2024 at 11:30 a.m. We are on the record. This is for the Colorado Public Utilities Commission case involving Public Service Company of Colorado's application seeking approval of its combined electric and natural gas demand side management and beneficial electrification plan for calendar years 2024 to 2026. We are here to take public comment on that application and plan. My name is Melody Mirbaba, and I am the administrative law judge who was assigned to this proceeding. This public comment hearing was scheduled by decision number R24-0086-I, which was issued on February 9th, 2024. I want to thank and welcome everybody who has appeared here today to provide public comment. I want to go over a couple of preliminary matters before we take public comment. One is that, consistent with commission practice, we are recording this hearing and we are also webcasting it. That webcast is being streamed live through the Commission's YouTube channel, which can be located on the Commission's website. You can also just go directly to that channel at www.youtube.com/@CO Public Utilities Commission /featured. Anybody wishing to observe this hearing without providing public comment may do so by watching that live stream. I will just kind of go over our procedures to take public comment. I'm going to ask everybody to keep your microphones muted until it is your turn to speak. This will help us avoid background noise so that we can have a good record. When it is your turn, please speak clearly and slowly so we can have a clear record. Also, please confirm that your name is accurate on Zoom so that I can call on you should you decide to provide public comment. When it is time to take public comment, I'll ask for you to use the Zoom's raise a hand feature to signal that you'd like to provide comment. To do so, click the reactions button and then select raise your hand. If you no longer wish to speak, please lower your hand. Otherwise, leave your hand raised until you've been called upon. If you're having any trouble using that feature, you may instead turn on your video to let me know that you wish to speak. Anyone who joins us by telephone can use the raise the hand feature by dialing *9 and then also pressing *6 to unmute yourself. As we proceed through public comments, I'm just going to ask everybody to please avoid speaking over each other, including me, and I promise to do the same for you. Ask everybody to be patient as we get through this. I think we have plenty of time to take whatever public comments anybody would wish to provide here today, so I'm not setting any time limits. There are other ways to provide public comment, including providing written comments. Written and oral public comments are given the same weight. Although the Commission does prefer written comments, primarily because people tend to be clearer or more persuasive in writing than they would present comments orally. You can provide a written comment. There are 4 different ways to do that. You can do that through the Commission's electronic filing system on the Commission's website at www.dora.state.co.us/PLS/EFI/EFI.homepage. You can also file a written comment using the File a Comment or Complaint link on the Commission's website, which is puc.colorado.gov. And you may do so by email or by regular United States mail. The Commission's email and mailing address can be found at our Commission's website. You can also leave oral comments through a voicemail by dialing 303-869-3490. That will be, any comments that you leave will be then placed into the record in this proceeding. If you get a busy signal, do call that number back because it could only take in one call at a time. Regardless of the method you choose to provide public comments, it is very important that you include this proceeding number so that we can make sure that your comments get routed into this proceeding. Again, our proceeding number is 23A-0589EG. All right, now it is time to receive public comment. And I just want to note for the record, it looks like we have just one person who has just joined us who might have missed the instructions I provided on how to signal that you'd like to provide public comments. So I'll just repeat those. If you'd like to provide comments, please use the raise a hand feature on Zoom by clicking on the reactions button and selecting raise a hand. It is 11:36 right now. I am going to, I just want to wait a while just to make sure everybody has an opportunity to provide public comments. It looks like the person identified on my screen as Heather Dees has indicated that you would like to provide public comments. So if you could go ahead, unmute yourself, turn your camera on, and when you are ready, please introduce yourself, state and spell your name. Let us know if you are speaking on behalf of yourself or any other person or entity, and then provide public comments when you are ready.
Great, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thanks. So I'm Heather Dees. I am with a company called Dandelion Energy. We're a ground source heat pump installation company. We have just started operations in Colorado in the last 6 months or so, and we're very excited to be in the market. We see a huge potential for growth with the electrification of homes and other buildings in Colorado, and a really notable level of support from the state government for geothermal heat pumps in particular, and that support in the form of state tax credits and a state grant program are extremely helpful in terms of being able to make a value proposition that works for customers who are looking to install heat pumps in either a retrofit of an existing building or new construction. We have been following along with the Commission's proceedings to the extent that we've had the capacity for both the clean heat planning process and the beneficial electrification and DSM planning process. It's been a little bit difficult to follow the overlap and relationship between those. So I've got a set of comments that are written comments that I will be submitting with much more detail than I want to provide verbally, and I'm planning to submit them to all of the relevant proceedings. So hopefully they will be helpful. What I've done in the written comments is lay out a set of information about existing rebates for ground source heat pumps relative to cold climate air source heat pumps in other jurisdictions. So in other states that have put a priority on building electrification as part of greenhouse gas emissions reduction strategies and energy efficiency rebate programs as an important part of that. In general, in those programs in the Northeast, the Mid-Atlantic, the Midwest, we see ground source heat pump rebates that are somewhere between 1.5 and 3 to 4 times the rebates available for cold climate air source heat pumps. And the reason for that is because of the efficiency of ground source heat pump systems. They're typically use about half of the electricity over the course of a year to heat and cool a building as the most efficient cold climate air source heat pump. And for the peak summer and winter usage, that load on the grid, the demand for the building heating and cooling is usually 1/3 to 1/4 as high because of avoiding the need for auxiliary heat strips that are used for cold climate air source heat pump systems when you hit that coldest day of the year. So the overall benefit to all ratepayers on the grid in terms of avoided infrastructure upgrades for distribution and transmission and avoided generation capacity for that demand reduction, as well as the overall efficiencies that are typically twice as high for ground source relative to air source, means that both new construction rebates and retrofit rebates typically are somewhere between 1.5 and 4 times as high for ground source. That is not true in Xcel's current proposed new construction all electric tiered program. And so what I provided in written comments is a specific set of recommendations about how those tiers could be modified a little bit to appropriately incentivize home builders to install the ground loops for the ground source heat pumps that'll provide the benefit not only to the home buyers long term in terms of lower energy bills, but to the overall system and all ratepayers in the territory. So I don't want to take up too much time with the comments. I appreciate the opportunity, and I will plan to submit the written comments. And I think I've got them almost finished, so should be able to get them in today, at least for the clean heat proceeding. So happy to add anything else that would be helpful. Thank you for the opportunity.
Great. Well, hold on with me for a second. I have a couple of questions for you. First of all, thank you for being here and for providing these verbal public comments and previewing the ones that I can expect to see in this proceeding. I really do appreciate that. Your company, Dandelion Energy, does it focus on sort of the construction associated with installing these kinds of heat pumps, or are you part of some other aspect of sort of beneficial electrification?
So our company has a few different business channels. Our priority has been historically on doing retrofits of individual homes in the Northeast where we started as a business. We are soup to nuts working with individual customers. We're vertically integrated. We own drills, have drillers on our team, heat pump installer teams, electricians, plumbers, heavy equipment drivers. And so we do the entire process for a homeowner from sales, design, installation of the ground loop, and the heat pump in the home. We are now working with home builders on entire neighborhoods at once. And in those projects, in some cases, we are also doing the entire process of the design, ground loop installation, drilling, as well as interior. In some cases, we are working with subcontractors for some parts of that delivery, depending on where we are geographically. And then we also are in the process of developing some new equipment that we're really excited about bringing to the market that will provide innovation in the heat pumps themselves.
Well, on that note, you've promised me these written comments, and I think you said you were going to kind of lay out what rebates look like for certain kinds of heat pumps in other states. I am just interested in whether your comments will indicate climate specificity in terms of whether those are the type of heat pumps that work well, in cold climates like Colorado. If you're able to address that in the written comments, that would be particularly helpful, because we do have a unique climate here in Colorado, and knowing what works best out here and how it's worked in other states might be helpful.
Absolutely, I can make sure to address that. In general, cold climate air source heat pumps and ground source heat pumps will both work in the coldest climates in the US. The difference is that you will require more electricity to get those cold climate air source heat pumps to fully cover the load of a building, particularly if it hasn't been updated to code with the higher levels of insulation and building envelope. Ground source heat pumps, because of the fact that the heating and cooling capacity just depends on that ground loop length that's buried in the ground. You can literally be in any environment at all and be able to have that ground loop size so that it will fully and completely cover the load without needing auxiliary heat and without any sort of fossil fuel backup.
And are those dual fuel heat pumps or electric only?
Those are electric only. So all the heat pumps I'm talking about are electric only, either ground source or air source. No fossil fuels at all.
Great. Well, just let you know so you don't feel terribly rushed on your public comments. I am going to go over this at the end of the hearing today, but the next steps after today's hearing, I do have a fully remote evidentiary hearing scheduled from May 13th to the 17th. I'm going to continue to take in public comments, at least up until that point. I will say it tends to be most helpful for the parties in our case for public comments to be filed well before hearing. That way, if they see something they might want to address in their testimony, they'll have the opportunity to do so. But I'll just say at the very latest, sometime before that hearing would be very helpful to have those public comments. So you've got plenty of time. I think the commission continues to accept public comments even after a hearing, but I'd like to have them before I write my recommended decision, which typically does not happen until after the evidentiary hearing.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you for all the information and your comments, and I look forward to seeing your written comments.
Great.
So I see we've had a couple of other people join us. So I'll just review how we're going to proceed. If anybody who has joined us would like to provide public comments, you can signal that by using Zoom's raise a hand feature, which you can access by selecting the reactions button and then selecting raise a hand. If you're having trouble with that, you can also just turn on your video camera for me and that will signal me that you would like to provide comment. All right, I can see that the person identified on the screen as KK Duvivier has used the raise a hand feature. I hope I have not butchered your name. When you are ready, do me a favor, please state and spell your name slowly. Let me know if you're speaking on your own behalf or anybody else, and then you can just provide your comments whenever you're ready.
Oh, thank you. My name is KK Duvivier, and you see how it's spelled there. I am the coordinator of the Colorado Solar and Storage Coalition, but that's an informal group, so I'm not speaking on their behalf. I'm also a professor at the University of Denver, Sturm College of Law. You can see some of the DU buildings behind me, but I'm not speaking on behalf of DU. It's just that energy is my specialty, and so I like to try to, stay on top of things. And I apologize for coming in a little late, but as I understand, you're looking for public comments on distributed resources and things like that. Is that correct?
Yes, to be more specific, this is proceeding number 23A-0589EG, and it is Public Service Company of Colorado's application seeking approval for its combined electric and natural gas demand side management and beneficial electrification plan, which would cover calendar years 2024 to 2026.
Yeah, thank you. And I saw that you were saying that there could be public comment until what date?
At the very latest, I would say public comments should be, at least for me to consider it as a part of my recommended decision, by May 13th. Although I do want to suggest getting that filed as soon as possible. And hold on, let me give you a better sense of the timeline. One of the things that a good written public comments can do is prompt the parties in a case to think about that comment and maybe address it in their evidence. And so if those comments are filed earlier before the party's evidence has to be filed, then you've got a better chance of it getting the attention that you might want it to have. We have a couple of upcoming deadlines. Answer testimony is due March 22nd. It'd be great for those that are filing answer testimony to have public comments they can look at before then. Frankly, it might already be a little bit late for that. Then there's rebuttal and cross answer testimony due by April 19th. So those are some of the big that are coming up. But the hearing in the case is scheduled for May, I think, 13th to the 17th.
Okay. And the people that attend the Colorado Solar and Storage and get my summaries are very interested in these issues. And I personally have completely electrified my house. So, I'm aware of the heat pump issues and things like that. And I was glad to hear the testimony that, air source heat pumps can deal with this climate. And I do understand that generally XL has not given as much credit as maybe they should as to what we can do with distributed resources. And I also, members of our group talk about prosumer and what we can provide as far as distributed resources. So I'm not going to give you any scientific things right now, but I just wanted to clarify what some of the dates were so that I could notify other people in the group and we could provide you with more helpful public comments. So thank you.
Sure. And we have a lot of parties that have intervened in this case who, you may be familiar with, you might have worked with. I can just run through the list if you're interested in knowing.
Yes.
In addition to public service, we've got, commission trial staff. We've got the Colorado Energy Office. We have the Office of the Utility Consumer Advocate. We've got the City of Boulder, Western Resources Advocates, Natural Resources Defense Council, and the Sierra Club, who have joined together. Southwest Energy Efficiency Projects, known as SWEEP, City and County of Denver, Energy Outreach Colorado, the Energy Efficiency Business Coalition, Clean Energy Economy for the Region, Climax Molybdenum Company, Colorado Energy Consumers, and Icon Energy Limited. I know I gave that list pretty quickly. It is written up in the last decision that I issued in this case that is totally publicly accessible on our website through our e-filings link. And would you like me to give that to you? Because I have it written down.
Sure, that would be helpful because again, the more information I can get out, and a lot of those groups have representatives who attend our meetings.
Yeah.
But also I know a lot of the other ones.
And another thing is that this is being webcast on the commission's YouTube page, and the webcast, the recording will stay on there if you want to go back and listen to that list I just gave you.
That's right.
But if you want to access the filings, the public filings in this case, you can sign up for a free commission e-filing account at www.dora.state.co.us/P as in Paul LS /EFI dot homepage. Is a bit of a mouthful. You should be able to actually find it if you go to puc.colorado.gov as well, which is the commission's website.
Okay, well, thank you very much. As I said, I don't want to take up time because I don't have details, but I did want to get the information so I can get the word out. Thank you.
Sure, I appreciate that. And if you want to provide written comments, you can do so through e-filings. There's also a link on our website that you can click on that says file a comment or complaint. You can do it. There's a phone number, 303-869-3490. But any which way you do it, make sure you have our proceeding number. It'll never get to us otherwise. It'll be a struggle. I'll give you that again. It is 23A-0589EG as in go.
0589EG.
Yeah.
They're after the A dash. Okay, thank you.
23A-0589EG.
I appreciate that you said it again because I got it wrong the first time.
No, it's okay. I'd rather you be able to provide comments. The fact that you're putting the effort into even showing up here today, I really appreciate.
Well, thank you for your work on this, and I think it's valuable. So thank you. All right.
Sure, thank you. All right. It is, let's see, 11:54 right now. I'd like to just hang out until at least noon and see if anybody else joins us before we adjourn the hearing. When this hearing was noticed, I did make sure that the decision was clear that we would hold the hearing open until all comments were received, which also meant that if we received all comments quickly, that the hearing would end early. So we may be adjourning this rather early. So let's just go ahead and wait. It is 11:55. I'm going to be here and watching, but I'll go ahead and turn my camera off until noon unless somebody appears and joins us, at which time I will reconvene. But we're just going to sit here on pause for a little bit to see if anybody else decides to join us. All right, it is 12 o'clock noon, still March 19th, 2024. I will just note for the record that we have not had anybody else join us to provide public comment. And so with that, our hearing will come to a close. As I indicated earlier, the next steps in this case will be an evidentiary hearing that is fully remote, scheduled for May 13th to 17th. That hearing will be webcast and anybody can watch it live on the Commission's website. After the hearing, then I will issue a written recommended decision on the company's requests. And so with that, I will go ahead and adjourn our hearing for today. Thank you to everybody who did appear to provide public comments.